friendship that'll never ever end.
Run!
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Reaction Beanie Yo for 184. Jack in the neighborhood. My brothers and sisters. It is that time to get into another one of these true crime, horror, dark, deep, and mysterious what the is going on type of videos. And today, it is Wednesday. So y'all know who we're about to go back to. Mike from that chapter. That chapter Wednesdays, y'all. Hope y'all doing excelente out there today. And I'm glad that you came on back to the channel once again to fuck with the bean. And the title of the video is Son Learns Police Uncovered His Disturbing Secret. Now, I just been loving these videos from Mike lately, y'all, where he show you the whole interrogation and all that, man. Then he show what a dude or lady be sitting up there freaking lying, and we know what's going on. The police know what's going on. Everybody know you did it, but you still be just sitting right there just watching the motherfucker just lie. And I think this is gonna be the same thing in this story. Whenever the police say, hey, we know what your disturbing secret is, I guarantee you this mother still gonna be lying. But I don't know. But let's see. But before we see, my brothers and sisters, y'all know what y'all got to do. Get whatever you may need. Get what you need, please. Another That Chapter Wednesday. Y'all got what y'all need. Y'all ready to go? Then let's go.
Hey you, and welcome. My name is Mike, and in this old video, we are off to Ontario, Canada, because why not, right? Always up to something over there since the early that chapter days. Always up to something that's usually not something good. Tends to be something dark and horrifying, and that's a double ding for this one. Just outside of Hamilton lies the small upper-class community of Dundas. In 2018, a couple were asleep in their bed when suddenly flames surrounded them. Before you knew it, it was impossible to see a thing. The man somehow escaped calling for help before collapsing on the lawn, while directly behind him the house was engulfed in flames. This was absolutely no accident, and the burning down of the house would only expose the myriad secrets and lies.
I find deception a quality that I don't admire. Mm-hmm.
Let's give it a go.
Let's give it a go. And get whatever you may need. And I'm calling it now. The freaking dude who ran up out of the house, who collapsed on his front lawn, he the one who freaking did it. I'm just gonna go and call it. Y'all know that's more than likely who did it. Let's see.
To begin with though, where the community of Dundas lies just west of Hamilton, sitting just off Lake Ontario in the province of Ontario. What are the odds they would have the same name? It was a town, now it's a community, and it's home to about 25,000 people. A lot of them students attending nearby McMaster University. With students brings art, culture, all that. And today, Dundas is a picturesque place. Great food, lots of energy, trails, a small town feel with access to the major metro areas. Crime is low, serious crime anyways. Bike thefts and car break-ins, unfortunately, quite common. However, there'd be a sudden and horrifying event of a very real crime during the summer of 2018 that would shock this entire community. And it began on July 9th, 2018, just after 3 a.m. The very wee hours of a summer's day. It was warm for middle of the night, 59 degrees Fahrenheit, 15 degrees Celsius, and very humid. The air was thick, one of those summer nights when it's hard to sleep. Backing out to Grove Cemetery on the northeast side of Dundas lies Greening Court, a small little place. At this time of the night, the entire area of the small community, very quiet. However, just around the corner from Greening Court, that very early morning, a home security camera caught something odd. A person walking down the road, pacing back and forth, it appeared. And then these strange flashes. The figure then leaves in the direction of 8 Greening Court. In that home lived Alan and Carla Rutherford, an older couple. They lived in that home alone. Carla had 2 kids from a previous marriage, as did Alan, and they were a very happily married couple. They were...
Okay, I was wrong, y'all. I just gotta go and admit now, I was wrong. I was thinking it was the dude in the actual home who possibly did it, but apparently we got CCTV footage of the mother who did it. So let's find out who he is.
Fast asleep when that dark figure entered their home. Their bedroom door was slowly and quietly opened, and lighter fluid was poured on the floor of their bedroom, pooling around and underneath their bed. A lit match was then thrown in. There was instantly a flash, an ignition, and the entire bedroom, the floor, walls, and ceiling were covered in a thick fire, turning the room into an oven. Alan awoke instantly to hell and ran for the bedroom door, but it would not open. He was banging and knocking on it, but it was shut. It was like there was something held against it, or there was a person on the other side of the door holding it shut, so they could not escape. With the door being locked, he went for the window and he jumped out, it being a 10-foot fall, landing on the damp grass. In shock, he didn't realize how badly burnt he already was, and he was bleeding from the fall. He then went to the back door to try and get back into the house to rescue his wife Carla, who was still in that inferno of a bedroom. But the door was locked. He tried again and again, but he couldn't get through. He tried to break down the window, but he couldn't get through. So he went around to the front of the house and managed to get into the house that way. But by this time, the flames had spread from the bedroom and the entire house was being engulfed in flames. He was unable.
And I feel like whoever did this, like, they was sent by somebody. Like, I feel like this was a hit, man. This was a freaking hit on this married couple.
Able to get to his wife, the flames were too thick. He went for the 2 dogs that they had in the home. One dog ran out, the other dog hid in the cupboard, cowering, and eventually Alan just had to leave the home, which was burning down around him. By this stage, Alan had 3rd-degree burns to 95% of his body, but he somehow managed to stumble to the next door neighbors, bang on the door, and get them to call 911. His neighbor would say at this stage he was completely naked and his skin was falling off.
Do you know who did this or what happened?
No, I have no idea. The house is in flames. I'm gonna
Okay.
get my kids out of my house too, in
Okay.
case it goes.
Okay, so you're not sure what happened?
No, I have no idea.
Is he breathing, your neighbor?
Oh, he's breathing. He's completely covered in burns and everything.
Is he breathing?
Yes, he's breathing. He's sitting. Oh my God, that house is going up. Get my fucking kids out. Oh, I hear sirens.
Okay, make yourself known to them, okay?
They're coming out. I hear the sirens. They're coming.
Make yourself known, okay? Did you just wake up to this?
Oh God, he came banging at my door.
Okay, he came.
I didn't know what was going on.
So we're not sure how the fire started?
He said they firebombed him. I don't know.
Wait, you're not sure what that means?
I don't know.
Okay.
Man, I hope the husband survived, y'all. Please don't tell me both of them lost their life.
Police and firefighters arrived within a few minutes, and Alan was on the neighbor's porch the entire time. And the neighbor was asking, after they called the emergency services, who should I call? Who else should I call? Like, did anybody else need to know? What do I do? Alan was slowly fading away at this point, and he says, don't call Rich. He's the one who did this, and he'll already know. The house was burnt out. Even if you go there today on Google Maps, you'll see the roof collapsed due to the fire. The firefighters could only really keep it under control till it burned itself out. Carla was gone. She was completely consumed by the fire. She would be identified via dental records. Alan, he was taken away to the hospital, but about 12 hours after the fire initially broke out, he passed away. The burns were just too bad. Both dogs survived. And that figure who'd been lighting matches that night had gotten away. For now.
Now, who the hell is this Rich guy? Who is Rich? And I seen it coming, but I tried to keep the hope. I tried to keep the faith, because we pretty much knew the wife was dead, but I tried to hope that he would survive. But those burns to 95% of his body, yeah, that was wishful thinking. Rest in peace to both of them. Now, let's find Rich.
This story begins all the way back in 1973 when Carla Holmes married Richard Taylor. They married quite young before either of them had seen 2 decades. Together, Carla and Rich would have 2 sons. They would have Rich Taylor Jr. in 76 and then Chris Taylor in 80. And they grew up in a very happy household. You know, oftentimes dealing with these murder cases, you say, oh man, you know, they had a horrible childhood. It was abusive. It was yada, yada, yada. And this one's like, no. Very loving family, very supportive family. It was all great. A happy home, a loving family, parents who enjoyed life and would do anything for their 2 boys, Rich and Chris. The family of 4 moved into this home in 1981, the house at 8 Greening Court. And it was a nice neighborhood. Chris, the younger son, would later say it was like Pleasantville. We walked to public school, we walked to high school, we tobogganed in Grove Cemetery. We played on the court until all hours of the night. We probably drove neighbors crazy. No one, locked their doors, the kids and the adults had fun together, all was just great. Rich Jr., star basketball player, close with his brother Chris. And they weren't troublesome or anything like that. When the 2 boys were in high school, Carla and Richard Taylor Sr., they divorced. Richard, he went off and married another woman, and Carla, she ended up actually falling in love and marrying a colleague of hers. His name was Alan Rutherford. They worked together at nearby McMaster University Medical Center. They married in 2007 and both began to enjoy their retirement about a decade later, in 2017. They travelled. Alan, big into environmentalism, he took care of the neighbourhood. Carla, the grandkids. Carla had 2 boys from her previous marriage. Alan had 2 girls from his previous marriage. Chris and Rich, they both went to McMaster University, and Richard Taylor Jr. ended up an elementary school PE teacher working in Hamilton. Chris became a chiropractor. Later on, the 2 Rose would start their own company making Muskoka chairs, if you can believe that. But right now they're being questioned. Rich was being questioned about what had happened to their mother and stepfather one horrifying night when they'd been burnt alive.
Well, I guess we have answered the question that I started off with, y'all, when I was like, is his parents calling to let him know that the police know about his secret, or are his parents the actual secret? You know what I'm saying, man? I know this man ain't sit right here and do this to, well, how many times we have heard of videos where these freaking kids will do this to their parents, but it never ceases to amaze me. Let's go.
Where should I smoke this? This one? Thank you. Thanks.
This one rolls, I'm not too sure.
No, this is much better.
Okay.
Should I face somewhere, or does it?
No, this is good. I'm just gonna talk like this.
Okay.
Okay.
I just gotta call it out, man. He already coming in with the shit. Cause how he walked in, he got the freaking cane like he all old and crippled. Like, there's no way I could do this. I can barely walk. And then look at his right leg, y'all. What is that? Like some blood or something? A freaking wound mark or something? A scar? And it looked very fresh. What the freak is that? Where did that come from? He look like he is already full of the SHI. You know what I'm talking about.
So, do you go by Richard or Rich?
Rich.
Rich?
Rich Taylor.
Okay. Do you mind if I call you Rich?
That's fine.
I'll be all official for the beginning, and then I'll call you Rich throughout the interview. Is that good?
That's fine.
Okay. I'm sure my partner's explained to you why you're here.
Yeah, he said that when Alan went to the neighbors, he said Rich or Rick or something like that. So
Yeah.
yes.
So I'm here to talk to you with regards to that, and because of what he said, I have to caution you. I'm really sorry
Yes, I know.
about your mom.
Mhm.
I mean, what a thing to hear first thing this morning.
Thank you.
First thing this morning,
It was making my kids breakfast.
As I was explaining out there, my position here is obviously to interview you.
Yes.
Because of some of the utterances that were made.
Mm-hmm.
Now, as much I can tell you is that when Alan came out of the house,
Mm-hmm.
he did say something rich or Rick, something.
Yeah,
like
that's
that,
what they
right?
said in the other
Yeah.
other room.
And so that's why I had to caution you. I just
Yeah.
want to.
No, I
Okay.
understand. I don't know if.
And so we treat everything
Yeah.
at the utmost.
Yeah. Well, he's a witness at that time to whatever
Yeah.
happened.
So I'm glad that you know.
No,
you understand.
I just want to
Okay.
make sure that this.
My brothers and sisters, do y'all believe that shit? That man put on a whole act, the fake crying and all. He brought out the crocodile tears and everything. But another thing I said a little earlier, I was wrong about this too, because I was like, man, it's a hit. Somebody put out a hit on this couple. But that's before I knew it was they actual freaking child. But so I'm gonna change that. Now I believe it's the old classic that Mike always brings, the freaking life insurance. He probably did this trying to get his mama or his stepdaddy life insurance fund or whatever, man. Let's go. His acting is just terrible.
See, Richard had grown up, become a teacher, but strange rumors always kind of followed him around to different schools he would go and teach with. See, money had a peculiar habit of disappearing around Richie Taylor. He'd always been bad with money, paycheck to paycheck kind of guy, never paid bills until literally he was at the risk of being cut off. But, small bills, they would do, whip-arounds to collect some money for the schools, and somehow it just seemed to disappear whenever he arrived. He was a popular teacher, the kids loved him, but the staff, not really. See, Richard Taylor was the kind of guy who'd be like, I'm only kidding, right? I'm only busting your chops. When in reality, he was being a dick. He had a really nasty sense of humor. He was really arrogant. He tended to butt heads a lot with the other teachers, and they didn't appreciate his hard work enough. Even the parents kind of didn't like them because he had a habit of making fun of the kids he was teaching their parents. For example, like one time they'd go on a trip together. They went from a trip from Hamilton to Montreal, and another teacher at this point kind of scolded Richard a little bit because he wasn't keeping a close enough eye on the kids, and Richard would just laugh off and say, they're not my kids. So Richard kind of moved around from school to school, and rumors would kind of follow him around a bit. One being that he was an asshole. For example, one time he would lie. He just lied and told his colleagues he had pancreatic cancer, so he'd get a couple of weeks off work. And money would always just disappear around him into the ether. However, his wife, Evangelina Papadimitriou, Vanji, was unaware of all of this. She came from a tight-knit Greek family. She worked at a Toronto university, and even though she knew he was always broke, she had to buy her own engagement ring, she loved him. But she didn't know exactly how bad he was with money. They never had it. They were constantly in debt. Now, they didn't live in like a mansion. They didn't have gambling debts. They didn't have drug debts, anything like that. They were just always broke. Richard would be given childcare, because they would have 2 kids to get a childcare. It's out of control these days. But he would always have the latest iPhone at the same time. It was like the small things that just always added up. I'm literally talking about avocado toast here. Like he would go to Tim Hortons every morning for breakfast, for lunch, at weekends. He kind of literally went broke due to Tim Hortons. I mean, he's Canadian, so I'll allow it. Vanjie didn't know. She didn't see the bills. She didn't even have her own bank cards. Chris would give her cash. She thought they had $100,000 in savings. I mean, they had $100,000 in savings if you just hide the little minus at the front. Debt collectors would call Vange, looking for the 23 grand they were owed. Rich would tell her, it's a scam call. Tell him to wish. Rich couldn't pay for the internet in the house anymore. They were cut off. So he essentially tied the entire home's internet to his phone. When he left the home, there was no internet, but he simply told his wife, the service is shite. Ultimately, he was at...
I mean, how long he was gonna hide from his wife that they was freaking broke? You know what I'm saying? This dude is getting ridiculous to the point that he making his wife and kids believe they got Wi-Fi when they really using his freaking hotspot off his phone. Like, dude, and it just seemed like we leading up to him eventually feeling like, I need money bad. I'm such in debt to I gotta kill my parents for the life insurance money. That's what it seemed like, as terrible as that sound. I don't know, I could be wrong, but let's go.
Minimum $235,000 in debt. He found a new source of income, making Muskoka chairs with his brother, Chris. It wasn't a big moneymaker though, about 15 grand a year, but the brothers liked working with each other. In fact, the brother was probably the only person he didn't take money from. His dad, Richard Sr., his friends. He would make up excuses all the time that he needed money for this or for that. Never pay them back, of course. Like, this is a case of there was no reason for him to constantly be in debt. Both him and his wife, they earned pretty decent money, but he was just addicted to spending it. To the point where his life was getting ruined, and the house was about to be taken off them. And Vanjie had no idea about any of this. It was July 11th, 2018 that the whole family, Richie, Vanjie, and their 2 kids were due to take this big old holiday to Greece. Vanjie, of course, she was of Greek descent, she had family there, and it was going to be this huge holiday, because they hadn't been on a big old family holiday in yonks. It would be a month-long trip. But of course, 2 days before they were due to get on a plane from Ontario to Greece, there would be a horrific fire at the grandparents' house, and both Carla and Alan would be burnt alive. And Alan, in his dying moment, his dying words were, Richard was the one that had done it. Richard had killed them.
So I'm trying to wrap my head around why he would come out. Because he got out of the house.
That's what they said.
Barely.
I read on the page. Well, in the article that my wife read to me, it said that it said that he was found on the grass or something. So that's what the article said.
But he made some utterances about Rick or Rich. So that's why I was trying to get what your relationship was like. I wonder where he would get that from. Do you know any other Rick or Riches?
I don't
he
know
might
any
be
more of.
referring to? Do you know anyone who would want to do something like this?
No,
Was there any enemies that Al had or your dad had?
My dad had?
Or sorry,
Oh.
Al had or your mom had?
Like, that's what I've been thinking about all morning. Like, I can't think of anyone.
Now, investigations like this, I have to ask, and I'm going to take it anyways. But your phone, just pertaining to this case, I believe you. You say you were at home with your son. Like, why would you make that up? But we want to track to see where you were. Or your conversation. So I would take it. If you want, you can sign a consent. Shows you're fully cooperative. And I'll download the contents, and we'll. Are you fine without your phone till tomorrow?
Just a few days before the fire, while Richie and Vanjie are getting ready for this month-long holiday to Greece, their kids were staying with Carla and Al. Just while Rich and Vanjie packed up everything, they wanted the kids out of the house, spend some quality time with your grandparents. And one time Richard went over to see the kids and see his mother, and he was walking into the basement that particular day, and he fell. He tripped on the stairs, tumbled down the stairs into the basement, banjaxed his knee.
One of the dogs, as I was going down, tripped me as I was going down the stairs, and that's when I fell down her flight of stairs in the basement. She was at the bottom, and I kind of fell under her at the end, and she said she didn't complain. She said her knee hurt, but I couldn't really move my legs, so we went to the hospital, and that's on Saturday, Spent 5 hours at the hospital getting my leg checked out.
It was kind of messed up. They were scared that they might have to cancel the entire trip due to his knee, but luckily he had a limp, he had a cane, but he'd be fine. So they were getting ready for the trip. Richard borrowed money from his mom, of course he did, right before he went, and then there was a fire. So what was Richard up to that night? Well, he would say he couldn't sleep, so he stayed up until about 2 a.m. watching a movie on his iPad. His son woke up at about 2:30 a.m. and he tucked him back into bed.
Last night,
Yes.
when this happened, where were you?
I was at home, sleeping with my son. He came down. I couldn't sleep too much. At about 2 o'clock, I put Netflix on and was watching Sicario, which is. Then my son came down. I had to turn it off because it's a pretty violent movie. And he was upset, and he came down and laid with me for about 30 minutes or so, maybe around there. When he fell asleep, I took him back upstairs slowly and went back down. I just wasn't sleeping with my wife because my knee, so I was laying on the floor downstairs.
Then, at about 3 a.m., near his parents' home, a security camera caught something odd. The police began investigating heavily. Richard Taylor. Alan's dying words were saying he did it. Now, of course, they did look at Richard Taylor Sr., his father, divorced dad and all that stuff, and they were still close, but he lived hours away, and it was confirmed he was not, he was in bed. It was confirmed that he was in bed at the time the fire went out. But was it the son, as Alan said with his dying words?
I have to ask you the question. I have to ask you flat out.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have anything to do with what happened last night? Okay. Do you know anyone that would have harm to your...
We were all racking our brain today,
When questioned, he denied it, of course. His knee, he could barely walk, sure. He had a cane, for Pete's sake. God, look, you seen this shit? How about... I'm not gonna start any fire with this shit. But the police...
I'm sorry, man. Like I said from the very beginning, when he first walked in that room with that cane, I was like, boy, he is coming in here ready, set, action. You know what I'm saying? Like he coming in here putting on a full-blown act. I don't believe his story about him falling down the steps. He tripped over a dog and fell down the steps. I don't freaking believe that stuff. Where are the witnesses to this story, sir? I believe he just full of SH, like I said, sugar honey, what it is, sugar honey, iced tea. That what the freak he full of. Let's go.
Quickly learned of his money troubles, of which there was a lot. The flight ticket for the family to go to Greece. They were spending this month-long vacation in Greece. The flight tickets for the four of them, Richie Taylor, his wife Angie, and their two kids, those tickets were paid for by family. But, once they arrived in Greece, of course, the family would be on their own. And they were staying there for a month, so you'd want a bit of, kibosh to keep you going. Richard had $400 in his bank account when they were due to go, so that probably won't last you very long at all when you're supposed to be on vacation for a month. He knew that, so Richard Taylor would need something to prevent him from going on holiday, and also something that might give him a cha-ching cash flow injection.
Good afternoon, thanks everybody for coming today. On July 9, 2018, at approximately 3:45 a.m., Hamilton Fire, Hamilton Police Service, were dispatched to a house fire at 8 Green Court in Dundas. Today, after 4 days of investigation at the fire scene and with the assistance of the Ontario Fire Marshal's Office, the Major Crime Unit is satisfied based on evidence that the fire was deliberately set. Carla and Alan Rutherford were victims of homicide.
The police believed that Richard was responsible at this point. He was the only suspect. The police immediately determined it was arson. Alan said it with his dying words, and financial troubles were a great motive. But how to prove that he did it? Your go-to is the old DNA, but it's his family home. Richard Taylor lived there for most of his life. His DNA is, of course, going to be everywhere. Straight away, the police began a surveillance of Richard Taylor, following him around at all times. And they noticed a few things about him. His knee, the cane he had in the interview room, doesn't need it. He walks just fine. A day after the murder, on the road between his house and his parents' place, he pulled over and began looking for something on the side of the road. Police believed he was looking for some incriminating evidence he had dumped, like a bottle of lighter fluid, maybe. The police later went to speak with his wife Angie, who should be sunning herself on a Greek island, the beach of a Greek island, but instead it was in mourning. And the police said to Angie, "Guess what Alan Rutherford's dying words were? Your husband did it." When Richard learned about this, he began shouting at the cops. The police would later get a search warrant for Richard's home, and on a table they found bank statements which the police quickly deemed were fake. He was photoshopping bank statements to show his wife, "Money's all good, baby cakes," when in reality this was like, talking Microsoft art here. One statement, for example, said they had in their account $131,000 dues. Pre-Photoshop, it said $400. The police would follow him around for 6 months after the double homicide, and he never used the cane. Except, when with people he knew, of course. At the store, nope, walked fine. At the funeral, heavy on the cane. And so the motive for this? What motive, of course? Didn't do a thing. He did, however, receive some of Carla's estate after the passing. Richard, he left everything to his own kids, his own 2 daughters. Carla, well, that would be split between Chris and Richard. Rich got some of Carla's life insurance a little over a month after the fire. He got a check for almost $18,000, less than he was expecting. Within a week, half of that was gone, of course. Within 2 months, his account was in the red again.
And then, okay, he did kind of like do it for the money, like for some life insurance money, but $18,000, bro? Really? That's all your mama life worth to you? I don't know if he thought he was gonna get more or if he knew that's how much he was gonna get. It don't matter how much he was gonna get. It's still effed up for him to do it. But really, bro, for $18,000, you set your mama house on fire with her in her bedroom and killed her and your stepdaddy? Really? Your children, grandparents? For $18,000? Like, come on, man. What the?
When all was settled, though, the insurance he was due to receive was over $400,000.
Okay, now that changed it. And all I'm saying is that changed it in his mind. It don't change it in my mind, my brothers and sisters. I don't care if it was $400 billion. You still shouldn't do that to your freaking mama. But now it make more sense of why he probably did it. But still, like, I don't understand how people could put a monetary value on life. Like, it's crazy, man.
But he would not get it.
Good.
Richard? Yes. Troy Ashbaugh. Sorry to meet you under these circumstances. A couple of things I want to make sure you understand. Everything in here is going to be audio and video recorded. You've got that jacket on. I understand you're cold in the other room. It's warm in here. At any time, if you feel you want to take that jacket off, feel free.
It was late January 2019 when he was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. When interviewed after being charged, he continued to deny having anything to do with the fire. He even suggested Alan may have done it. Cops didn't buy that. In fact, when the cops confronted him with every piece of evidence they had, catching him in lie after lie after lie.
Who's that walking in the ditch?
I don't know.
Don't recognize that person?
Play it again? No.
Who's that?
Can't tell.
Can't tell? Who do you think it might be?
It looks like it could be me.
It is you. That's you, under surveillance, July 10th.
Mm-hmm.
So what were you doing walking in that ditch?
I'd driven by there the day before after I heard my mom. I went for a drive by myself. And when I got back, I realized something had flown out the window. Some papers had flown out the window, and I went back to see if they were there.
And the thing that is very clear about all these pictures, there's no cane.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me about that.
I left it in the car because walking through that stuff, the cane would be very good.
Okay, but where's the limp?
I'm limping there. Like, I don't know. You want to see?
Which leg is injured?
It was this one, I think, my left. That was right. I don't know. Which one was it?
Hey, listen, at this point he knew they caught him out and he was just doing it for the love of the game. He was digging himself a hole deeper and deeper. But he would never admit that he was the one who had been on that the neighbor's surveillance, striking up matches, testing out matches before he went to the house. The Rutherfords, Al especially, was security conscious. Carla, not at all. They grew up in this house and they never locked the doors, but Al was a little bit different and he always locked the doors to their home. The only person who would have been able to get in was someone with a key, like Richard Taylor. They had 2 dogs in the house. The dog barking did not wake them up. Therefore, the dogs did not bark, and they only would have not barked. The 2 chocolate labs, they knew Richie. They wouldn't have barked at him. So then he went in, he poured lighter fluid all over their bedroom while they were sleeping, threw in a match. And then when Al woke up and tried to get out of the bedroom door, Richard was on either side of the door holding it shut.
I didn't even think about that part about the dogs, man. And Mike never mentioned that it was a break-in. It's like, bro, everything is pointing to you. But to go back to like I was saying at the beginning of the video, y'all, we already know it was going to be lie after lie after lie after lie. He getting to the point where his lies being comical, man. He done freaking forgot which leg was supposedly hurt. You know what I'm saying? He pulling up this pants leg trying to find the injury. He done forgot about it. That is comically sad. It's freak. Wow, man.
Nobody woke up. Go back, practice, get your nerve up, go into the house, pour the fluid, fire the match, and boom, the fire goes up. You run out the door, you get back in your car, and you drive home. And the reason why you do it is because you need money.
Which I'm not going to see for years. And the fact that I'm leaving my house for 2 hours in the middle of the night to do this, when my wife gets up all the time. She comes down and said, "Where did you go for 2 hours in the middle of the night?" On the night that your mother and Al get killed.
But what you just finished telling me is that your wife takes sleeping pills.
Yeah, but she gets up all the time.
Well, then why does she need pills to wake her up and get her going?
Talk to her doctor.
Richard Taylor's trial lasted 6 weeks. He continued to deny burning his mother and stepfather alive. The case was largely circumstantial. No forensic evidence tied him to the scene. His phone was at home the entire time because he left it at home, so he was happy to hand it over to the police. They really only had the lies they caught him out in and his motive.
All of your lies, all of your deceit would be exposed, Crown Mark Dean said in court today. At this point in time, you come up with a plan. It's a sinister plan. Dean suggests Taylor killed his parents so that he could inherit his mother's money to keep up the lies he had been telling the people in his life. Taylor responded, "Saying I'd kill my mother for that is ridiculous. What you're suggesting is horrible, and I didn't do it. That never crossed my mind." 2 days before the 2018 Dundas house fire that killed Carla and Alan Rutherford, Taylor says he hurt his leg and told police at the time that he couldn't run or even drive. How could he have set his parents' house on fire? But Taylor admitted today that he lied to investigators.
He was ultimately found guilty on both counts of first-degree murder. He was sentenced to life in prison with no chance of parole for 25 years.
The man who murdered his mother and stepfather, Carla and Alan Rutherford, wants to appeal his conviction, saying his trial judge made several mistakes. Trial judge erred in admitting hearsay statements of the deceased as dying declarations, Taylor wrote.
And that is the story of a man with no plan, who lied after lied after lied until eventually he burned everything down, burnt his whole life down, burnt down everything around him. Who knows what was going through his mind to be able to do what he did? To give his parents, his mother, one of the most horrific deaths you can imagine, being burnt alive. Who knows what was going through his mind when he was doing that? Nothing good. In fact, I think we don't want to know, and he's still in prison to this day, and he's never admitted that he did anything. At this point, you know, he's going away for life, right? He's not going to see the light of day, or at least for 25 years. And that's if you get a chance at parole, which he likely will get it. So at this point, he has nothing to lose. You may as well just admit it, but he has not. Because guess what? He's doing it for the love of the game.
Crazy.
Thank you so much for watching. It really means a lot to me that you're here watching this whole video. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, listen folks, the next video will be up in a couple of days. So please give it a go when that's out. And yeah, if you're looking for more of That Chapter, obviously there's all the videos here. Please check out the That Chapter podcast, which has a new episode out every single Monday. It's available on all podcast platforms, so give it a go. But until the next all video, please take care of each other, and please take care of yourselves. Because I love you. Mike out.
It is just so crazy that this man told so many freaking lies to the point where the police know he was lying, y'all, but he still would not admit to the ish. It's like, dude. And I'm just glad that he got life in prison and he got a chance of getting out after 25 years, but he'll be pretty freaking old then, and I don't think he's gonna ever see the light of day again. I can confidently say that. And I can confidently say that it was him who did it. Like, all the evidence pointing towards you, dude. And your lies are just so freaking ridiculous, man. They was following you around, bro. You ain't never need this freaking cane unless you around us or going to their funeral. He did this shit to his freaking mama and stepdaddy, man. I just don't understand how freaking family members can kill each other like that, man. Whether it be a video we watch about kids doing it to their parents or the parents doing it to the kids, it's just like, then you gotta think about all the other people around them that it's affecting. It's affecting your whole freaking family. Now your kids, they gotta grow up without they freaking grandparents. You know what I'm saying, man? And gotta know that they daddy the one who freaking did it, and now he in prison for the rest of his life. It's just like, whoa, dude. And then he was an older guy already too, man. I can't remember how old Mike said he was, but he looked like he was in his maybe 40s, maybe 50s or something. So you live all this time on this earth with your mama that raised you up, and Mike said that he and his brother Chris came from a pretty decent home, you know, none of that craziness. His mama and his daddy, they raised them up right. And you be on this earth with your mama all this time, then you decide to kill her like that. And then you won't even freaking admit to doing it after all the evidence is there that you did it. Bro, you unlocked the door. The freaking dogs ain't barked because they knew you. Them dogs ain't know you was coming to do that. Like, oh my God, man. I'm going on a little ramble right now. Not even a ramble, a little tangent, my brothers and sisters. And I'm just finna stop while I'm ahead, man. I'm gonna stop while I'm ahead. Because this was a great video from Mike. And I'm gonna go and let y'all go. But before I let y'all go, my brothers and sisters, just make sure that y'all hit that like button, y'all comment, subscribe, and do all that if you ain't did that yet. And come on back tomorrow for another one. And I don't know where we going, but I'm pretty sure it's gonna be another banger. But until then, my friends, I'll say, remember this: love, peace, and happiness. Stay safe. Don't stop. Keep going. Yeah.